Hello again everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now today we're exploring Roman Britain, but not at a time of conquest or expansion or even stability. Instead, we're heading into one of the most turbulent and least understood periods in the province's history. In the early 180s AD, something went very wrong in Britain. Tribes crossed the frontier, Roman forces suffered a serious defeat, and a senior Roman commander was killed. For a brief moment, it seemed as though control of the province might be slipping away. But what followed was perhaps even more dangerous, because the greatest threat to Roman Britain did not come from beyond the wall, but from within its own army. This is the story of Ulpius Marcellus, the man who was sent to restore order, and the mutiny that followed in his wake. To understand the crisis of the 180s, we first need to step slightly back to the reign of Marcus Aurelius. Roman Britain in the later 2nd century is often imagined as a settled province, its frontiers secured behind the stone barrier of Hadrian's wall. But the reality was far less stable. Even after the Romans had withdrawn from the more northerly Antonine Wall, the north of Britain remained a constant source of pressure. Not long after Marcus Aurelius came to power, news reached Rome that war was threatening in the province. In response, a new governor, Sextus Calpurnius Agricola, was dispatched to deal with the situation. We know frustratingly little about this conflict. The written sources are brief, and the archaeological record offers little confirmation. But the fact that a governor had to be sent to deal with unrest tells us something important. The frontier was not secure. At some point during this period, Rome also sent a force of around 5,500 Sarmatian auxiliary cavalry to Britain. Now, whether these troops were intended to replace losses, reinforce the frontier, or simply be stationed in a distant province where their loyalty could be tested, their arrival suggests that Britain was still considered a potentially unstable region. The wall, it seems, did not end the threat, it merely contained it. It was into this environment that Ulpius Marcellus emerged as governor, likely around 177 AD, and it was during his tenure that the situation escalated into a full-scale crisis. Our main account for this comes from Cassius Dio, writing in the early 3rd century AD, and according to Dio, tribes from beyond the frontier crossed the wall that divided them from the Roman army. They inflicted what Dio describes as colossal damage, and in the fighting, a Roman commander was killed along with his troops. This detail has caused considerable debate among historians. Dio uses the Greek word strategos, which can be translated simply as general. But what exactly does Dio mean? Was this a provincial governor, a legionary legate, or someone else entirely? If a governor had been killed, then it would suggest that Marcellus was sent to Britain to replace him, but we know that Marcellus was already in the province by this time. Some have even suggested that there may have been two men named Ulpius Marcellus serving in close succession, but this theory has been proven inaccurate. The most convincing interpretation is the simpler one. The commander who was killed was probably a legionary legate, one of the senior officers commanding a legion, whilst Marcellus himself was already serving as governor and was authorised to deal with the crisis. If that is the case, then what we're seeing is not the arrival of a new governor, but a sitting governor suddenly having to deal with a major invasion. Unfortunately, beyond this brief account of Cassius Dio, we know very little about the war itself. Even its location remains uncertain. Dio tells us that the tribes crossed the wall, but he doesn't specify which one. By the early 180s, the Antonine Wall had likely been abandoned for some time, leaving Hadrian's Wall as the primary frontier, so it's likely that it's Hadrian's Wall that Cassius Dio is referring to, but we don't know for certain. Archaeology offers a few tantalising hints, but nothing definitive. At sites such as Corbridge and Carlisle, inscriptions and evidence of destruction suggest military activity in the region. One inscription records a Roman officer giving thanks for a victory over a tribal group, whilst another inscription refers to successful actions carried out beyond the wall. Taken together, these fragments suggest a pattern. Roman forces were not simply defending the frontier, they were operating beyond it, and perhaps they had been doing so for some time. It is possible that Roman officers had grown accustomed to campaigning in the lands beyond the wall, pushing into the frontier zone with increasing confidence. But such operations carried risks, and now it would seem those risks had caught up with them. The tribes of the north had not only resisted Roman incursions, they had brought the war into the province itself. It was Marcellus's task to restore control, and by all accounts, he succeeded. The war was eventually brought to an end, probably around 184 AD. In that year, Emperor Commodus took the title Britannicus, marking the victory in Britain. Coins were issued celebrating the achievement, proclaiming Victoriae Britannicae. But if the war had been won, the province itself was far from peaceful, because Ulpius Marcellus was not an easy man to serve under. Again, our insight comes from Cassius Dio, who paints a vivid picture of a governor defined by severity and relentless discipline. Marcellus, he tells us, was capable of functioning on very little sleep. Whether through sheer endurance or chronic insomnia, he seemed to expect the same from his men. Each night he would write out 12 messages on wooden tablets and arrange for them to be delivered at different hours of the night, so that the soldiers would believe that he never slept. It was a simple but effective trick. If the governor never slept, then neither, it seemed, should the army. The discipline was taken to an extreme, and it may have contributed to military success, but it also bred resentment. Because the Roman army in Britain was not just fighting the enemy beyond the wall, it was enduring the rule of a commander who demanded constant vigilance, constant readiness, and constant obedience. And eventually, that pressure broke. After the war, the soldiers of the British legions mutinied. The exact details are unclear, but the outcome is striking. The troops attempted to elevate one of their own commanders, a man called Priscus, to the imperial throne, and this was no small act of rebellion. To proclaim an emperor was to challenge the authority of Rome itself. Yet according to our sources, Priscus refused. "I am no more emperor than you are soldiers," is what he's supposed to have said to them, a bold response, perhaps even a reckless one given the circumstances, but it appears that it worked. Priscus survived the encounter, and he would later be recalled to Rome along with other senior officers. The mutiny, however, did not end there. In an extraordinary development, a delegation of around 1,500 soldiers travelled all the way from Britain to Rome, and once they got there, they sought an audience with the emperor himself, Commodus, to present their grievances. But their target was not Marcellus, but a powerful figure at the heart of the imperial government, the Praetorian prefect Perennis. Perennis had become increasingly influential, effectively managing the day-to-day operations of the empire, whilst Commodus withdrew from active rule. Among the complaints levelled against him was the claim that he had been appointing equestrian officers to command legions, breaking with long-standing tradition. Whether these accusations are entirely fair is unclear, but the effect was dramatic. Commodus, alarmed by the presence of so many soldiers from Britain, and perhaps persuaded by his new favourite, Cleander, turned against Perennis. The prefect was handed over and murdered. A frontier crisis in Britain had now reshaped politics in Rome itself. As for Marcellus, his position had become untenable. He was recalled from Britain and put on trial. The outcome is uncertain, but he appears to have escaped condemnation. Even so, his time as governor was over. In the aftermath of the mutiny, the command structure of Britain was shaken. Legionary legates were removed from their posts, and for a brief period the province may even have lacked a formal governor. One official, Marcus Antius Crescens Calpurnianus, seems to have acted in the role temporarily until a new governor could be appointed, and that new governor would be Publius Helvius Pertinax. But that is a story for another time, because the events of the 180s reveal something very important about Roman Britain. This was not a quiet, settled province at the edge of the empire. It was a frontier under pressure, militarised, volatile, and at times dangerously unstable. The war that had begun beyond the wall exposed the limits of Roman control, and the mutiny that followed showed just how fragile that control could be. In the end, Marcellus did what Rome asked of him. He defeated the enemy and restored order, but in doing so, he pushed his army to breaking point. And when that breaking point came, the consequences were felt not just in Britain, but in Rome itself. But thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. It helps immensely, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.